Hello again, Leo. Didici here from astrology.com.au. And whilst this month you can find great opportunities to increase your income and your net worth, your savings and cash flow, you do have some issues arising in your professional life. And I'll explain that. But this is October 2015. And if you looked at the initial introduction that I gave, I am talking this month primarily, and I'd like to continue this discussion about the method of self-empowerment and how understanding these transits can give you an insight into self-awareness and how to best adapt yourself to what's happening in terms of these transits. The main focus this month, there's a retrograde Mercury in your zone of communications that occurs with the Sun and with the karmic point, the North Node. So that retrogression, which can show some hiccups in your communication, at least the need to reconsider how you're approaching your communication, what's been said, that clears up somewhat after the 10th of October. And that paves the way for you to make some better decisions. Mercury, of course, for you rules your finance sector, both the 11th and the 2nd, so two finance sectors, which are your own self-exertion to earn and profits from your business if you happen to have one, or profits from other areas. So that's that third house. And we also see the new moon on the 13th taking place in this area of communication. So this is likely to trigger some desire to learn new ways of communicating, to shift the line of communicating, the topic or the central focus of your communications. In any case, the new moon is a way to shift gears. It could be a new pattern, new understanding. It also relates to studies to some extent, being in this third house. And therefore you may venture out and want to expand your skills and your understanding during this period. Probably as significant, if not more significant, is the transit of Saturn into your fifth house of love affairs, fifth house of creativity. Now, when we talk about empowering yourself, I always say it's sometimes better to use the reverse method of removing and eliminating those things which are hindrances or obstacles or constrictions. Saturn is by far one of the most constrictive planets of the zodiac, and we can glean some important information from its transit and where it happens to be moving. The fact that it's moved out of your fourth house, where it's been for the last 2.5 years, which constricts your inner sense of happiness, is good. Moving into this fifth house may slow things down or may give you challenges in the area of your, romance and love affairs, your creativity too. So although you may be happy, it's like, okay, now what do I do with that happiness? How do I direct that in the proper way? And as I said, I think once you get through this new moon of the 13th, the forward direction of Mercury, your finance, and also to a large extent the social planet for you, then things can start to move ahead in leaps and bounds. There's quite a few aspects here this month. I don't always focus on every single one of them. I let my intuition guide me in delivering to you what I think will be important transits. The solidifying and stabilizing influence on the 13th, on exactly the same day as the new moon, of Mercury to Saturn, is pretty significant. Third house, fifth house. So you can stabilize your communications at that time. You can find that the modality of the way you communicate can be rather serious, or the other person may not be amenable to light chit-chat. So you have to be adaptable under those circumstances. In any case, it'll make your thinking much more concrete, much more rational and logical in the way you approach things at that time. The nice thing that we do see there is the Mars and Jupiter conjunction in your second house of finances, followed up on the 9th by the planet Venus. So you'll have 3 planets there. And later in the month, when Venus comes to the conjunction to Jupiter, later in the month, around the 26th, that's going to bring with it a dose of very, very good luck for you. And you're not going to need to do much there to feel empowered. The more cash you have, the more opportunities you have, obviously the more empowered you feel. I guess the empowerment I'm talking about is the empowerment from within yourself, that sense that you are able to make things happen. But if you listen to the introduction today, you might find that this is all very, very contradictory. And in some ways it is, because the notion that we have free will and have the ability to empower ourselves is opposed to what some of the more recent scientific findings indicate, and that is that our free will can be determined prior to us consciously making those choices. Nevertheless, I'm out on a limb here. Someone's going to saw it off and I'm maybe going to fall. But hear me out here. What I'm saying is, if we take the reverse, we eliminate the unnecessary. And even that, to some extent, is not within our control. But where and when we can, and I normally say the first stages of that are self-awareness. Here we see your third house strongly activated this month, particularly with the new moon there. Thinking in different ways, observing yourself, thinking, gives you an insight. How you think is a very, very important thing, and what's very strongly pointed to this month for you as a means of that self-empowerment. That simple fact of self-understanding is itself a form of self-empowerment. The transit of the Sun to the 4th house, that takes place on the 23rd, is significant too. It has a lot to do with your family life. And we see that the full moon that will take place on the 27th completely activates these areas, your 10th house of career and your 4th house of family and domestic circumstances. So these 2 areas are very strongly highlighted, and the Taurus moon in your 10th house is actually lucky as well for your career. It stabilizes things in that area. So it could just be that what you've been waiting for and the empowerment that you are looking for, as I say to many of my clients, is just a matter of patience. Sometimes it's not even what you actually do that brings in the power that you're looking for. It's simply a matter of waiting and letting those planets, like cogs in the wheel, lock in place and then just start to do their magic. On the 26th, there is an opposition aspect from Mercury to Uranus. As much as I've said, your finances and your social life will be rather strong and solidified and expansive. You've got new ideas there. There could be something out of the ordinary happening at that time, and you need to be alert to that and to be ready with a plan B if if the schedule changes and the rug is pulled from under your feet. The 31st is a lovely aspect from the Sun to Neptune, your ruling planet. It's not actually a planet, the ruling star. The Sun and Leo. Sun is in a formidable aspect to Neptune from the 4th house to the 8th house, bringing with it a dose of spirituality and psychic insight. So use that as the month concludes to further enhance yourself and to empower yourself further. I'm going to be back next month. I want to continue this theme. I hope you'll join me. I really enjoy sharing this for what it's worth. You can visit my site, astrology.com.au. There's a lot of other material there and information, resources for you to use. Most of it is free, and I welcome you to come there. I hope to see you here again next month. Good luck till then. Bye-bye.